Everyone thought billionaire Daniel had everything money could buy, but there was one thing his billions couldn't bring back: his mother's smile. For years, she sat silent, lifeless. Then one night in a restaurant, something happened that made Daniel freeze. A complete stranger, just a waitress, did one small thing, and his mother suddenly laughed. In that moment, the richest man in the room realized a shocking truth. Real wealth isn't money, it's kindness. But what exactly did she do? No one in the restaurant noticed the billionaire freeze. But in that second, his entire world changed. Daniel Hayes had spent his whole life building empires. Glass towers carried his name. Magazines called him a genius, and people whispered about his billions. But none of that mattered tonight. Sitting across from him was the only person he had ever truly wanted to impress: his mother. She sat quietly in her wheelchair, frail hands resting on the tablecloth. Illness had taken her strength, her voice, and almost her smile. For years, Daniel had watched doctors, therapists, and specialists try to help her, but nothing brought back the light she once carried. Tonight, he had brought her to the most elegant restaurant in the city, hoping, just hoping, she might feel something again. He was checking his phone when he heard it. A soft, gentle laugh. Daniel's head snapped up. His mother was smiling. Not a polite smile. Not a forced one. A real smile, warm, alive, glowing. And she wasn't looking at him. She was looking at someone standing beside her. Young Waitress stood next to her chair, carefully holding a spoon. She was speaking softly, like someone comforting a child. "Just a little more, ma'am." "You're doing great." Daniel blinked in confusion. He hadn't even noticed her approach. The girl's uniform was simple, her shoes slightly worn, her hair tied neatly back. Nothing about her looked extraordinary, except what she was doing. She was gently feeding his mother, not hurried, not annoyed, not distracted, patiently, kindly. His chest tightened. Daniel had hired professional nurses who treated his mother well, but he had never seen anyone treat her like this, like she mattered, like she wasn't a burden, like she was a person worth slowing down for. His mother's eyes sparkled as she swallowed another bite, and then she laughed again. Daniel's throat went dry. He hadn't heard that sound in years. When the waitress noticed Daniel staring, she straightened slightly, nervous. "I'm so sorry, sir," she said softly. "She looked like she needed help, and I didn't want her food to get cold." Daniel didn't answer immediately. He was still watching his mother, who now looked peaceful, almost radiant. "What's your name?" he finally asked. "Maya," she replied. He nodded slowly. "How did you know how to do that?" She hesitated, then smiled gently. "My grandmother had the same condition. Feeding her was my favorite part of the day, and somehow, a waitress earning minimum wage had given his mother more comfort in 5 minutes than all his wealth had in 5 years. Daniel slowly stood. Other diners glanced over, recognizing him. They expected him to complain, to scold, to act like the powerful man they'd seen on television. Instead, he did something no one predicted. He bowed his head slightly to Maya. "Thank you," he said, voice thick with emotion. "You gave my mother something I couldn't." Maya looked startled. "I didn't do anything special." "You did," he interrupted gently. "You saw her." Silence filled the table. Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a card, placing it in her hand. "This is my direct number. Tomorrow, if you want, I'd like to offer you a job." Her eyes widened. "A job?" "As my mother's personal caregiver. Triple your current salary, flexible hours, full benefits." Maya's lips parted in shock. "But only if you want it," Daniel added. "Not because of the money. Because she already trusts you." His mother reached out weakly and touched Maya's wrist, smiling again. That decided it. Tears shimmered in Maya's eyes as she nodded. Weeks later, Daniel stood by the window of his mansion, watching his mother in the garden. Maya sat beside her, reading softly while his mother listened peacefully, sunlight warming her face. She smiled more now. She laughed more. Some days she even tried to speak. Doctors called it emotional stimulation. Therapists called it improvement. Daniel called it a miracle. And it hadn't come from medicine. It hadn't come from wealth. It hadn't come from power. It came from kindness. That night in the restaurant, Daniel learned something no business school had ever taught him. True greatness isn't measured by how many people serve you. It's measured by how gently you serve those who can't repay you. He glanced outside again as his mother laughed at something Maya said. For the first time in years, Daniel smiled too, because he finally understood. The richest person in the world isn't the one with the most money. It's the one who makes someone feel priceless. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that kindness is the greatest wealth, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your one click helps us share more powerful stories that inspire millions. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done in Daniel's place? Stay tuned, because the next story might change the way you see the world.